Get down. The command slices through the darkness like a blade. Gunfire rattles against the mansion's reinforced walls. The earth trembles beneath them. Windows explode into glittering shards. Beyond the compound, men are screaming in words Amara can't fully grasp, but she stays frozen in place. Her arms are locked around Sujin, the small girl shaking against her shoulder. The child's nails dig into her blouse. Her whisper is fractured, barely audible. Amara, I'm scared. Amara draws her in tighter. She feels her pulse hammering in her throat. She breathes in the faint jasmine scent from Sujin's hair, the acrid smell of burning cordite drifting in from outside, the raw metallic taste of terror coating her tongue. The door shudders. Another crash. For a split second, she's certain they've been found. She squeezes her eyes shut. Her mouth moves soundlessly. God, not her. Please protect this child. Spare her life, I beg you. The door flies open and he appears. Park Ji-hoon, blood smeared across his white shirt, a gash along his cheekbone, his knuckles split and raw. His presence swallows the room like a gathering storm, brutal and absolute. His gaze lands on Amara, then drops to Sujin pressed against her chest. For just a heartbeat, something softens in his expression. Then his voice comes out low and unshakable. Stay silent. Don't make a sound. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Before we dive deeper, I need to ask you something. Please hit that subscribe button. Yes, you right there. Your support breathes life into these stories. And drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Seoul, Nairobi, Toronto, maybe Rio. We're all connected here and your presence matters. All right, let's continue. The evening had begun peacefully. A child, a bedtime tale, the warm amber glow of a reading lamp, and now, devastation. Amara remains crouched on the thick rug when the security team floods in behind their leader. Dark, tailored suits, automatic weapons slung across their torsos, eyes sweeping every corner. Ji-hoon snaps out a command, clipped and razor-sharp. They disappear just as swiftly as they arrived. She can't fill her lungs, she can't form words. She can only stare at the man before her, the one people speak of in hushed tones across the streets of Seoul. The one she'd only glimpsed from across crowded rooms until tonight. And now he stands there bloodied and staring directly at her. How did she arrive at this moment? Not so long ago, she stood beyond those iron gates for the first time. Just another candidate, just another woman clutching a worn folder of documents. The other applicants had eyed her with disdain, her brown skin, her accent, her second-hand heels, and mocked her openly. You honestly believe he'll trust his daughter with someone like you? One had sneered in Korean, but Amara hadn't flinched. She had crossed oceans, left her younger brother Chidi and her baby sister Ngozi back in Lagos, risking everything for this single opportunity. Giving up wasn't an option. Inside, the girl had been waiting. Park Sujin, a child with eyes like frosted glass, sharp, distant, hollow. She had turned away every caregiver before, until Amara. It wasn't calculated. It wasn't rehearsed. It was pure instinct. When the little girl retreated behind the velvet drapes, Amara didn't bribe her with sweets or false promises. She simply lowered herself to the floor and waited in silence. Minutes stretched. Then tiny fingers slipped into hers, and that was all it took. The girl chose her. That instant replayed in Amara's thoughts every time she questioned whether she truly belonged in this place. And now tonight, as bullets hammer the estate, that same child is gripping her once more. Sujin's voice cracks. Don't let them hurt me. Amara's throat constricts. Mama. The word pierces deep. She strokes the girl's hair softly, murmuring, I won't. I give you my word. From the entryway, Ji-hoon observes them both. His expression reveals nothing, but his silence speaks volumes. He moves closer, each step deliberate and controlled. Finally, his voice emerges quiet and lethal. So you're the one she picked. The estate felt unnaturally still, too still for a fortress that had nearly collapsed under gunfire just hours before. Too still for a residence with more armed guards than household staff. Too still for Amara's racing pulse. She walked hand in hand with Sujin down the endless hallway, the polished marble icy beneath their bare soles. The girl refused to release her grip. Her small fingers clamped down like locks. "Stay with me," Sujin whispered. "I'm not going anywhere," Amara answered gently. "I'm right beside you." The crystal chandeliers overhead swayed faintly, or perhaps it was her trembling hands. The day following the assault, life inside the compound was meant to resume as usual. Guards replaced blown-out windows. Staff mopped dark stains from the entrance steps. Fresh bolts were installed on every door. Everyone moved as though nothing catastrophic had occurred, but the atmosphere had shifted. The air felt denser. Murmurs followed Amara's every movement. The kitchen workers paused mid-task when she entered. The housemaids avoided meeting her gaze. Even Mrs. Kang, the stern head of staff with her rigid posture and cutting remarks, seemed to look straight through her, as if she were a ghost who had wandered into the wrong residence. Only Sujin held on tighter. Only Sujin brightened when she appeared. Amara quickly learned the household operated under unspoken laws never documented but always obeyed. First rule, never inquire about activities after dark. Second rule, never enter the eastern corridor where sealed doors line the passage. Third rule, never hold Park Ji-hoon's stare for too long. She violated the third rule accidentally. It happened during morning tea. Sujin had insisted on waffles only to abandon the plate entirely. Amara coaxed her patiently, sharing memories of the crispy akara her grandmother used to prepare back in Lagos. The girl giggled, nibbled a piece, then another, and that's when she sensed it. The pressure of someone watching. She glanced up. Ji-hoon sat observing her from the far end of the table. His face betrayed nothing but his eyes. His eyes were probing, as though weighing whether she posed a threat or offered salvation. She dropped her gaze first. Later that afternoon, while Sujin rested, Amara wandered into the courtyard. The magnolia trees towered above, their blossoms swaying gently in the wind. She closed her eyes, drawing in the delicate fragrance. For a fleeting moment she was transported to Lagos, her mother's laughter in the kitchen, her brother Chidi joking with his crew outside, her little sister tugging on her sleeve. But the mirage shattered instantly. A harsh voice pierced the calm. "You have no place here." Amara spun around. Mrs. Kang stood at the garden's edge, her uniform immaculate, her expression colder than the marble beneath their feet. "You believe because the child favors you that you're protected." The woman's lips twisted. "No one is protected in this house, not even him." She gestured toward the mansion, toward the space where Ji-hoon's shadow loomed. Amara parted her lips, then sealed them again. What response could she offer? She wasn't protected. She understood that clearly, but she had no alternative. Chidi's voice echoed in her mind. "Sister, please. Just one more term's tuition. Please don't abandon me." No, she couldn't walk away. Not yet. That evening, restless and unable to sleep, she drifted through the corridors. The mansion was silent again. Unnaturally silent. And then she detected it. Voices muted, sharp, strained. She traced the sound, her bare feet noiseless on the floor until she reached the heavy double doors of the study. They stood partially open. Inside, Ji-hoon occupied the head of an extended table. His lieutenants hunched forward, faces taut with tension. The room reeked of cigar smoke and aged leather. "The Southern Territory belongs to us," one man stated firmly. Ji-hoon's response sliced through, cold and absolute. "Not if they believe they can target my daughter. Not if they think they can breach my home. Anyone who attempts it." He leaned in, his eyes void of light. "Dies." Silence descended. Amara's stomach twisted into knots. She pressed a palm to her chest, struggling to steady her breathing. She knew she shouldn't be standing there. She knew she should retreat immediately, But before she could shift, his voice changed, measured, controlled, deadly. Locate the betrayer before sunrise. And, in that instant, she understood something crucial. This estate wasn't merely a residence. The estate was sentient, and it fed on fear. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do it now. Leave a comment. Tell us your location. We cherish hearing your voices. Rain drummed softly against the glass. The sky hung heavy, slate-coloured, pregnant with hidden truths. Inside the mansion, everything appeared pristine and flawless once more, but Amara could sense it. An unease slithering beneath the polished surface like fractures under fine china. Sujin sat cross-legged on the carpet, crayons scattered in chaotic circles around her. She pressed one firmly to the page with quick, decisive marks. When finished, she raised the paper toward Amara. Look, Amara leaned closer. 3 stick figures holding hands. A tall figure. A small figure. A woman with curly lines for hair. Who is this one? Amara asked quietly, indicating the third figure. That's you, Sujin replied plainly. Her eyes were lucid, almost unsettlingly clear for someone so young. You're my family now. The statement cut through Amara's chest like shattered glass. Family. She swallowed hard, concealing the burn behind her eyes. Later that evening, Amara discovered a bracelet resting on her bedside table. Delicate, silver, tiny engraved flowers along the band. No message, no explanation. Simply there. She lifted it slowly, tracing her fingertips over the cool metal. She knew who placed it there. She didn't need confirmation. Her thoughts raced. Why would he? Before she could complete the question, Sujin burst through the door, her small voice high-pitched with excitement. Appa bought that for you. He said it would suit you. Amara went rigid. Her heartbeat stuttered irregularly. She manufactured a smile masking the tempest raging inside her chest. It's lovely, she said softly. The girl beamed proudly as if she'd personally orchestrated the gesture. But not everyone welcomed her presence. In the hallways, the staff whispered more brazenly now, as though challenging her to overhear. Their stares pursued her, mistrustful and razor-edged. And then, Gia arrived. She swept in like expensive perfume, cloying, overwhelming, inescapable. Stiletto heels striking the marble, a crimson dress molded to her figure like flames. Her lips curved when she spotted Amara, but there was no warmth in it. So you're the nanny everyone keeps discussing, she said, switching effortlessly to English. Amara inclined her head respectfully. I simply care for the child. Gia's laugh was soft, frigid. And yet you've been noticed. Her eyes flicked toward the silver bracelet circling Amara's wrist. Be cautious. Not every gift carries blessings. With that, she pivoted and glided away, leaving the air behind her sour. That night, Sujin refused to sleep in her own bed. Amara remained at her side, humming quietly, her voice wrapping around the child like a warm quilt. She thought of Lagos, of her mother's melodies, of Chidi's frantic calls begging for more funds. Her existence was fractured down the middle, 1 foot planted in Seoul's shadows, 1 foot still grounded in Lagos. She didn't notice the envelope until dawn broke. It rested on the garden bench, plain cream-coloured paper. Her name scrawled across it in jagged handwriting. Her hands quivered as she tore it open. Inside lay a photograph. Her and Sujin in the courtyard laughing together. Sunlight caught in their hair. And beneath it, 6 words scrawled in crimson ink. The nanny bleeds first. Her breath seized. The photo slipped from her grasp. Sujin came running moments later, grinning, eager to display another drawing. Amara shoved the envelope behind her back, forcing steadiness into her voice. Gorgeous, sweetheart. Absolutely gorgeous. But internally, her chest felt crushed. Impossibly heavy, the estate was alive, the estate was observing, and the estate was issuing warnings. Hey, don't forget to subscribe. I really want you to hit that subscribe button, thank you so much. The mountains stretched silent and vast. The safe house perched on the ridge, high walls wrapped in evergreen forest, fog coiling like vapor around the peaks. To outsiders, it might resemble a sanctuary, a place for tranquility. But Amara knew the truth. The silence here wasn't peace. It was concealment. She carried Sujin up the wooden staircase. The child's head drooped against her shoulder, weighted with exhaustion. The night air bit sharp, laced with pine and moist soil. Every noise, the crackle of gravel, the creak of the iron gate made Amara's muscles tighten. Inside, the safe house felt less like refuge, more like confinement. Heavy blackout curtains, reinforced doors, sentries stationed at every angle. Sujin stirred, whispering against her neck. "Don't leave, Mama." "I'm here," Amara murmured. "I'm not leaving." The days at the safe house passed strangely. Too much quiet, too much surveillance. Sujin clung to her constantly. Together they sketched pictures, launched paper planes in the yard, shared whispered stories beneath blankets. For the first time, Amara witnessed the child laugh freely, without hesitation. She called her Mama more frequently now, the word tender and certain, as if it had always belonged to her. And Ji-hoon, he lingered more deliberately. He watched from doorways, from corners, from across rooms. Sometimes he spoke nothing, simply studied her as though she were a riddle he couldn't decode. Sometimes he offered brief words, quiet, almost tentative. "Eat," he said one evening, placing a dish before her. She blinked. "Thank you." His mouth twitched, almost forming a smile, but it vanished too swiftly to confirm. But not everyone accepted her. Mrs. Kang moved through the house like frost. Her eyes sliced sharper than steel, her silence more oppressive than storms. One night, Amara overheard her speaking in hushed tones on a phone call, words dripping with hostility. She caught only fragments, names, figures, locations, but enough to send ice down her spine. She didn't dare challenge her. Not yet. Then Park Min-soo arrived, the younger sibling. Tailored suit, polished leather shoes, voice like iron wrapped in velvet. He appeared without warning, his presence altering the atmosphere instantly. "I warned you," he told Ji-hoon in the corridor. "This ends in destruction." Ji-hoon's jaw clenched. "Leave now." But Min-soo's eyes found Amara. He stared at her too long, too intensely, as though he could perceive the fractures forming around her. Later, when he cornered her alone near the stairwell, he spoke quietly. "If you truly care for the child, take her far from this place. My brother destroys everything he touches." Amara's chest constricted. She wanted to argue, but the truth pressed down, too heavily. Back in Lagos, Chidi's calls grew increasingly frantic. His voice crackled through static, desperate. "They arrested me, sister. During the demonstration. I have no bail money. I have nothing." Amara pressed her forehead against the cold plaster, torn between two realities. How could she remain here when her own blood needed her? But how could she abandon this place when this child called her mama with every breath? Her heart fractured in two. And then the night descended. It began with a sound, a faint metallic click beyond the window, then another. Then the low grind of boots on stone. The guards shouted warnings. Gunfire shattered the air. Amara seized Sujin, pulling her close, sprinting through the corridor as lights flickered violently. The safe house trembled with pandemonium. Shouts, pounding footsteps, the crash of doors splintering, and then someone grabbed her arm. She whirled, ready to scream. It wasn't an attacker, it was Min-soo. His face was ashen, urgent, his grip unyielding. He leaned close, his voice a sharp hiss against her ear. "If you stay here, you'll die. Come with me now." The world around her roared with violence. Amara clutched Sujin tighter, her breath caught in her throat. Everything inside her froze solid. Everything inside her ignited. The gunfire refused to cease. It hammered through the walls, split the night wide open, made the foundation quake beneath Amara's feet. She held Sujin firm, her heart pounding against her ribs like a war drum. Min-soo's hand remained clamped on her arm, his grip ironclad, his words reverberating in her skull. If you stay, you'll die. But she didn't move. She couldn't. Sujin's tears drenched her blouse. The child's small voice was fracturing, trembling. Don't leave me. Don't let them take me away. Amara pulled her closer still. I won't. I swear I won't. She wrenched herself free from Minsu's hold and ran down the hallway past shattered doors, past men shouting in darkness. She didn't know her destination, only that she had to find him. She had to find Ji-hoon. She found him in the central hall, the air choked with smoke. The chandelier lay scattered across the floor in glittering fragments, the walls scarred with bullet holes. Ji-hoon stood at the epicenter, his weapon steady, his face carved from granite. Around him, his men fought like phantoms, but he was the storm they orbited. When he saw her, saw the child pressed against her chest, something flickered in his eyes, something vulnerable. Get her out, he barked at Jinwoo. But Amara shook her head firmly. No, I'm not leaving without you. The declaration surprised even her, but once the words escaped her lips, they became absolute. For a moment the chaos seemed to suspend. Then rival operatives surged forward, ripping Sujin from her arms. Her scream tore the air apart. Number. The kidnappers vanished into the blackness, taking Sujin with them. Amara's knees nearly buckled, but fury kept her upright. I'm coming with you, she said to Ji-hoon, her voice raw steel. He turned, eyes ablaze. This isn't your battle. It is now, she fired back. And for a heartbeat, even amid the chaos, they stood eye to eye. The boss and the nanny, the storm and the shelter. Finally, he nodded once. Stay close. The rescue unfolded in a blur of brutality and terror. A warehouse on the city's outskirts, men wearing masks, the sound of Sujin's cries echoing from within. Amara clung to the concrete wall as Ji-hoon and his team sliced through the darkness like razors. Her hands trembled violently, but when she glimpsed Sujin bound to a metal chair, something inside her shattered. She ran. She didn't strategize, didn't calculate, she simply ran. The child screamed, and then Ji-hoon was there beside her, his gun roaring, his body a barricade. Together they freed Sujin. But the price arrived swiftly. A shot split the air. Ji-hoon staggered, his weapon clattered to the ground. Blood blossomed across his torso, dark, spreading too rapidly. No, Amara cried, her arms catching him as he collapsed. His breathing was labored, his eyes grew heavy. Still, his voice reached her, fractured but resolute. If I die, his hand brushed her arm, weak but insistent. Promise me you'll protect her. Not as a nanny, as her mother. Tears blurred her vision. You're not dying. Don't you dare. But he was already fading. Hours later in the safe house medical wing, Ji-hoon lay unconscious, his face pallid, his chest barely rising. Sujin slept curled against Amara's lap, her small hand clutching the bracelet he had once given. The door opened quietly. Minsu entered, pristine suit pressed flawlessly, shoes gleaming as though nothing had touched him. Behind him, uniformed figures filled the doorway. Police officers, government representatives, men carrying documents and handcuffs. He looked at her with frozen eyes. You've been living with a criminal, he said softly. If you don't leave immediately, you'll fall with him. Amara went rigid. Her arms tightened protectively around the child. Mama, don't go, Sujin murmured in her sleep. Amara's chest burned, the walls compressed inward. One world behind her, broken and bleeding, another world before her, promising safety but demanding surrender. And she stood trapped in the center. Family, this is where we pause for now. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's how we sustain this community. And tell us in the comments, if you were in Amara's position, what choice would you make? Because the story has only just begun. If you enjoyed this, make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you in the next one.